It's a special episode of Bakes on Things from a car. And the reason is, boy, do we have some news today. And I'm at an appointment with my beautiful wife who has MS. So we're going to do this right from a vehicle. On Friday, the Canadian government, well, they stood tall, didn't they, Liberals? Or so you thought. Mark Carney and the Liberals dug in their heels and told the world that they would not be removing the digital services tax. A tax so controversial, so economically reckless that it torpedoed trade talks with the United States entirely. And Liberal supporters took to social media in droves, claiming it was a proof of Canadian backbone, that we were finally standing up to the big bad bully Donald Trump. Mark Carney did it. And now we fast forward to today, just a few days, and that mighty Canadian resistance folded like a lawn chair in a giant hurricane. The digital services tax, scrapped, gone, poof, it's out. Not because of a breakthrough, though. Not because we got something in return, by the way, but because Donald Trump demanded it. And when Donald Trump demands something, well, apparently this Liberal government just gives it to him. Let's go.
There is a major development tonight in Canada-U.S. trade talks. Late this evening, the federal government suddenly announcing it is now rescinding its tax targeting big tech companies. The Prime Minister saying talks can now resume. This comes just 2 days after Trump abruptly posted online that trade talks were off unless Canada dropped the digital services tax. It was just hours away from taking effect tonight when Ottawa made the announcement.
Welcome back to Bakes on Things. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Let's rewind for a second. The digital service tax was supposed to be a 3% levy on revenue earned in Canada by large digital companies. Think Google, Amazon, Netflix, Meta, all of those. Those giants who rake in billions without paying what some call their fair share, even though you ultimately pay it with higher prices. Now, whether or not you agree with taxing tech giants that ultimately tax you in return, here's the issue. This tax wasn't implemented unilaterally by Canada. Even after years of negotiations with the OECD for a global framework, the Americans said clearly, if you do this, we will retaliate. The Trump administration, never one to bluff, then pulled the trigger. All trade talks with Canada shut down as of Friday. And what did the Liberals do in response? Well, they needed to try and keep it because they needed that $7 billion for their budget. But after 72 hours, they stood behind the tax like it was a symbol of sovereignty, like it was a line in the sand. But today, then, poof, just like that, gone. No vote, no dignity, just a press release and a surrender to Donald Trump. Now, here's the thing. Let's be absolutely clear. This was not a negotiation. There's nothing won here by Mark Carney. This was not some grand diplomatic chess match where Mark Carney outmaneuvered a hostile counterpart. This was capitulation to Donald Trump, pure and simple, and I'll prove it. Because Donald Trump demanded that the tax be rescinded before any talks would resume, okay? And then he got exactly that. There was no compromise. There was no quid pro quo, no side letter, no face-saving concession, just, yes, Mr. President. And now we're supposed to believe that the Liberals wanted this? This was the plan all along? F that. This was all part of Mark Carney's master plan? No way. Give me a break. This is the political equivalent of losing a game 10-0 and calling it a strategic retreat. And the Liberal spin machine, here we go. Liberal voters, Carney the hero. Oh, give me a break. Here comes the spin again. Just watch. Within hours, you're going to hear mainstream media now doing this too. Especially CTV and CBC, start parroting the new Liberal line that Mark Carney courageously got us back to the negotiating table, that this shows strong leadership in the face of adversity, that this paves the way for a new trade deal. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. But here's what they won't say to you. Trump didn't move. Nothing. Didn't budge, not an inch. He didn't blink. He didn't compromise. He got exactly what he wanted. The only person who gave up anything here was Canada. This isn't diplomacy. It's submission, folks. It's being told to sit, and we're doing it. So what does this give us? Well, the answer is nothing. What did Canada get for throwing its policy in the trash? Did we get tariffs removed? No. Did we get new export guarantees? No. Did we even get a timeline to resume negotiations? No, just that they can. What we did get, though, was humiliation. We got the privilege of rejoining trade talks that we were never formally kicked out of. They were just paused. We gave up a major policy initiative, as garbage as it was, for nothing, just to get back to the table. We actually didn't get anything from it. So why that matters is because of what happens next. So what happens now? What will a trade deal look like if Trump is always allowed to win every single round? Here's my first prediction. Canada is going to end up giving up more protections on agriculture. You better believe that supply management is back on the table. And if Trump views the dairy cartel as unfair, and he does, we're about to see pressure to blow it wide open. Number two, massive concessions on auto manufacturing. This is what we're going to see. Trump has long wanted stricter rules of origin and more jobs in the U.S. We know this. If Canada wants to access the American market, we're going to be told to build less here and more there. That's how that's going to work, because Trump's been winning so far. The energy sector manipulation, that's going to happen too. That's prediction number 3. Trump will push to restart U.S. dominance on oil and gas exports, and that means Canadian pipelines, LNG projects, and cross-border transmission lines will come with tighter U.S. oversight or even veto power. My fourth prediction here is that digital sovereignty will be gutted. He's not going to let this come back. Ironically, by killing the digital services tax, we've set the precedent that U.S. tech companies can operate in Canada without meaningful taxation, and that won't just be tolerated, it'll be codified in this new trade deal. And prediction number 5, more America First sunset clauses will be implemented. Trump's team loves to destabilize long-term certainty by putting expiry dates on trade deals. So expect that any new deal to include a sunset clause, maybe every 5 or 6 years, that put us back at square one to renegotiate this whole thing again, unless we give up more. And look, here's the thing. The bigger problem, let's not forget, we have no federal budget. Parliament is on a 16 or 12-week vacation. Our debt is at record levels. Our economy is stalling. The Bank of Canada is boxed in on rate cuts, and we just handed the U.S. a win for free. That's not leverage. It's not leverage. When you don't get anything in return, that is desperation. That's showing up to a gunfight with a surrender flag and asking for directions. Listen, we did not win anything here when you don't get something in return and you just capitulate and the guy gets what he wants originally. So where are the Liberal supporters who spent the weekend crowing about standing up to Donald Trump? Where are the tweets now? Where are the think pieces about Canadian independence and digital fairness? Well, we're not going to hear crickets because it's the Liberals. You'd think you'd hear crickets here, but they're going to try and twist this. They can't. We didn't get anything in return. Because at the end of the day, this government doesn't stand for a thing. Not policy, not sovereignty, not fairness. If it does stand for anything, it stands for optics only. And when those optics change, so does the policy, so does the principle, and so does the so-called plan. So here we are. We're sitting here with trade negotiations just about to start. This entire episode is really a case study in failed leadership. And worse, it sets a very dangerous precedent for the rest of the negotiations, because the message it sent to Donald Trump is, just hold your breath and wait. Canada will cave. You don't need to negotiate with Mark Carney. You just need to put the pressure on for a bit, leave it for a few days, and there you go. You don't need to compromise. You don't need to offer anything. Just wait him out, because eventually he'll fold like a cheap suit. It's what happened. Sorry, it is what happened. And when our trade, our economy, and our global credibility are on the line, folding should never be an option. This isn't strategy, it's surrender. And if we don't wake up, this government's cowardice will cost us far more than a failed tax. It could cost us our entire future. Happy Canada Day. We'll have a special Canada Day episode tomorrow, but this is why we're doing a second episode today. I didn't want this negative topic to be ruining your Canada Day tomorrow. We'll have a more positive look on things in tomorrow's Canada Day special. But today, here we are. Second episode from a car. Thanks for bearing with that. And like, subscribe, comment. What do you think? Did we get hooked or rooked here? I'm pretty sure we did. See you tomorrow.